Hey gang, thanks for watching Let's Level Up. My name is Rick Perez and I'm here at Fireside Games headquarters with the man himself, Justin De Witt.
Hi Internet.
And we're talking about a very cool game.
Yes we are.
As you can see, we've got a lot of cool bits in front of us, so if you can't already see, this is Star Trek Panic, and it's got an interesting story.
Yep.
And Justin's going to take us through some of that and explain how the game works and what kind of makes this stand out other than this amazing centerpiece here from the other Panic lines.
Yeah.
How'd this come to be?
Oh, it's kind of an interesting story. Gen Con of 2014, we bumped into some of the people from USAopoly and just kind of hit it off, talked a little bit about ideas and what we might do. That moved forward, and by the time BGG rolled around, we were talking about actually doing something with the Panic line. We had already worked on Munchkin Panic with Steve Jackson Games, and they had worked on Munchkin Adventure Time with Steve Jackson Games, so we sort of connected the dots together. Okay. And the more we talked, we were like, yeah, we could do something with the Panic line. They came back later, I think it was around Toy Fair, and said, hey, what do you guys think about Star Trek Panic? And we said, yes, we like that idea a lot. And my first instinct was, oh, is it going to be the new one? I'm not sure how I feel about that. And then they mentioned the whole 50th anniversary original series, which I grew up on, and I was through the roof.
Awesome.
I was over the moon on that one. So I immediately went about watching all the episodes again, some of which are really good, and just having a blast going back, well, how can I work this in? How can I work that in? Ooh, what about that one episode where this happened? And it went from there back and forth. I did most of the design here, and then with USAopoly, I worked with Andrew over there, Andrew Wolf, their guy, and he and I really fine-tuned it then. I had kind of a sort of clunky working version, and he put a lot of polish into that, and this is what you ended up with. It's the game's actually published by USAopoly. I like to describe it as sort of an Oreo. On one side of the Oreo, one cookie is CBS, who owns Star Trek. We're the other cookie, we own Panic, and USAopoly is the cream filling, and they make Star Trek Panic, and together we're a delicious sci-fi cookie. So
no, that's great. It does look delicious,
doesn't it? Though,
yeah.
Don't you want to eat it?
So what are some of the things in here that really stand out as new? I mean, there's a ton of new looking bits.
Exactly.
Here. So,
there's a lot of new things. Yeah.
At like 1,000-foot view, or looking through a telescope here into space. What makes this stand out from the rest of the Panic games?
Well, there's a lot of new stuff we put in here. There were some mechanics that I've been wanting to put into Castle Panic, actually, that never quite had a home, and other ones that just instantly were like, oh yeah, we have to do this. So there's a lot of new things. It starts, of course, with the Enterprise here in the middle. Not only is it cool and a 3D model, but you can see it has these awesome plastic shields on it that go onto a solid base. So for all intents and purposes, these are your walls, the way you would have in Castle Panic, and the hull sections are now like the towers. You still want to survive the game with at least one chunk of the Enterprise left, not destroyed. Okay. That's how you win the game. The neat thing is this base that it's on isn't just cosmetic. It actually matters in the game, because one of the things you can do now is rotate the Enterprise one facing, so it points different directions, and that's because of the way hit cards work now. Instead of Castle Panic, where you play your hit cards simply at any range and any color, they're now very much oriented around what way the Enterprise is facing. So, for example, this is a multi-range side phaser. It's essentially kind of like an any-colored hero kind of thing, but it's limited. Only shoots out to the side of the Enterprise. So, let me steal a bad guy here.
On one of your actions, you can actually turn the Enterprise?
Yes, everyone can maneuver the Enterprise one space. Sulu gets to do it twice, because he was the guy who drove the ship. So, say I've got a monster out here, or in this case a threat token. Same idea as Castle Panic. They're coming in from the outer side trying to get in, but now you have to stop them with your phasers and stuff. My side phasers will work in this spot, but if I was pointed this way, my side phasers wouldn't. But however, my rear would. The problem is I have the wrong range. Gotcha. So again, we've got this whole thing of getting the right position. You are going to want to trade with your fellow players to get what you need in terms of attacking enemies and stuff. And we've got a fun new things like photon torpedoes are in the game, but they only shoot to the front of the ship. However, they work in any range and they do 2 points of damage instead of just 1. So you're going to be able to hit a lot harder, but you may have to turn the ship to make them work.
And looks like we have 3 rings here as well. The closest ring being blue, and then a purple ring in the center, and then finally the green at the end. So this would be the forest type zone here?
Essentially, yeah. It's basically Dead Panic is what it is. We made a bigger central one, and then there's only 3 rings. So we took out the forest in that sense. And that's mostly to give the Enterprise more room to play with, because you're going to manipulate that a lot.
Yeah.
And the rings are technically short, medium, and long range is what we call them. We didn't label them. We just left it this cool, beautiful space thing. But,
yeah, no, it's nice.
And it's pretty easy. The cards have this nice grid that shows you where you're going to fire and all that stuff. So that's one of the biggest differences. Maneuvering the Enterprise is huge. And how you attack is now different. It's all based on both facing and distance, and you don't have that whole I'll just play a card anywhere kind of feel. You have to focus a little more. Another big difference is the way the enemies attack. Since these are all spaceships now, they're not just dumb brutes who smash into your walls. They shoot you with high-tech weapons. So every time after the threats move, they shoot, and they do various damage to your ship. It's almost like a mini version of a giant boulder. Instead of destroying, though, everything does damage, and that's where this comes in. So when your shields are damaged, you take one of these awesome shield markers and show that it's been wounded. And again, kind of like Dead Panic, a second damage would destroy that.
Gotcha.
And once these are gone, now you have the possibility of taking hull damage. So if this guy were to shoot after he moved, we would take this damage one and pop it right on here, showing that, we're damaged. So
the hull here, if I'm just looking, is this 4 areas here and then 1 and 2?
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
So really I should probably put this right there. It's kind of on this section that's damaged. So that's bad. We have our 1 damage. So, but again, this is a little different now in terms of in Castle Panic, everything's a one-shot kill. Now we have damage that we can repair. Because as you're playing the game, you're going to come across other cards, for example, Tritanium and Dilithium. That's how you repair stuff now, just like on the show. You rebuild things.
Yeah.
So the way they work is you can use 1 Dilithium card on its own, and it will repair damage done to a shield. So if we still had this shield up and I had that 1 card, I would at least get to sort of repair this. If you're thinking Castle Panic terms, it'd be as if Brick and Mortar were usable on their own instead of being combined.
Gotcha.
Tritanium is how you do the same thing to repair a hull. The problem is, eventually, you're going to lose your shields, you're going to take more damage than the ship can support, and that's where this comes in now. You take these awesome fireball bits over here that are all terrifying looking. I think that's the one right there. And you put that over to show that that piece has been destroyed. So instead of taking a tower off the board, you add these horrible explosion burn parts to show that part's gone. Okay. All 6 of those, you're done. That's the end of it. And that can't be repaired with a single card, but if you get Tritanium and Dilithium, you can take the damage off and you have a functioning ship part again.
Awesome.
You can also do that to raise shields. Tritanium and Dilithium will get you 1 shield back up. So and essentially, you're able to rebuild walls and towers in this game if you think of it in Castle Panic language.
Okay.
That's new.
Cool.
You could never do that before.
Awesome.
And you can do it with regular cards like that, which makes these exceptionally valuable. So that's one huge thing. Damage is dealt differently. You fight monsters differently. They shoot at you now from space because they're spaceships. But another big thing for the game is the end condition. So Castle Panic, you just survive. Dead Panic, you get rescued.
Right.
So now we have missions. So just like the original 5-year mission of the Enterprise, you have to complete 5 missions in this game.
Okay.
There's 20, sorry. Well, actually 2 of those are guide cards, so technically there's 18 missions. Each of them has a different setup for it in the terms of, some of them are simply, hey, you have a timer for the mission, there's a big number there, and that goes on the mission timer card, which will count down. So if we were doing The Trouble with Tribbles, we'd start at 6, and you'd set that up, and then we would have to do whatever the mission objective is. Some of these missions have built-in handicaps, like, the Enterprise can't maneuver as long as you're on this, so we take this little no maneuver token, lock it down, and all of a sudden we wouldn't be able to turn the ship, which makes things really hard for us.
Wow, okay.
There may be other things where we can't trade cards, or some sort of limitation is put on us. Then there's a goal we have to get to for the mission, and these are different from every card. Most of them are going to involve what we call command points now. Division credits. These are all done based on the classic little icons the guys used to wear on their shirt.
Sure.
So you've got your engineering, your science, your medical. Yep,
that's
it. There's the command one, and I put a medical one in here somewhere. I was trying to be all sneaky. There we go. Oh, wait, no, that's science. There we go.
The random draw.
Yes.
Yeah.
So not every card has these credits on it, though. They're kind of special, and really what it comes down to is the most useful cards in the game also have those, and you're going to have to make a choice when you're playing. Every mission has a sort of recipe it needs in terms of how to beat this mission, and maybe it's a combination of points. In this case, this one specifically, we have to maneuver the Enterprise a specific way and pay a certain amount of credits. Anyone on their turn can pay cards towards the mission. So if this was literally my hand, I could say, all right, I'm going to go ahead and use this dilithium for its engineering credit, and now I've taken that off our list of requirements. We just have to finish out the rest to complete this mission.
When you use this, do you put it back in the discard, or does it go stacked onto the mission card?
Stacked onto the mission card until you complete it. And you can't play it and use it for a mission. It's one or the other.
Sure.
You're either getting the super cool benefit, or you're using it to build something. Yeah. Hopefully complete a mission.
That sounds like something you'd do.
Yes, I'm not going to give you both. That's way too easy. Yeah. So you're paying these cards out of your hand, or you're using them to keep the ship alive, because while this mission is in play, you're still putting monsters on the board, so to speak. The ships are still coming. Some of the cards have multiples where you can choose. It can either be, in this case, a science or a medicals. That's really helpful, which means it's probably an awesome card you don't really want to burn unless you have to.
Right.
So everyone is paying these. You can pay as many cards as you want towards your mission, and the point is, once it's completed and we've achieved all the objectives. In this case, we moved the ship, we paid the right credits. Boom, you win, and then you get the reward of whatever that is. A lot of times, it's going to be repairing the ship because you're going to take a lot of damage. You may get to do damage to other ships. You may get some other kind of reward. Maybe everybody gets to draw a card or something.
Yeah. So in this case, all uncloaked Klingon ships on the board would take a damage. So
boom.
Hopefully, blow up some Klingons.
Yes, you're at least going to do some good there because Klingons hate tribbles. So
yeah.
That's the important part there. All of the missions, most of the missions are very, very thematic with the episodes. I tried really hard to get them in there, and there's a few that you can tell are inspired by. That's like they didn't necessarily do this, but you know they would have at some point.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So not only do we have to contend with completing this active mission that's out here, we have to make sure the Enterprise itself doesn't explode in space.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already tense.
It's that good, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and you will be drawing 2 threat tokens, just like Castle Panic, putting them on the board the same way with the random distribution. You get a few new tricks in there too, though, so you're not done with all the panic yet. We have cloaking ships in this game. They have a special border that tells you it's a cloaking one, and if you're familiar with the show, it's all the ships that had cloaking ability. What happens is their movement is sort of an on-off section. Ships that are cloaked will they'll move and cloak. And then what's going to happen is when they're basically invisible. You can't target them. You know they're there, but there's nothing you can do to them.
Oh.
Then on the next turn, they're going to uncloak, and they're going to move and fire by die roll. So you never know where they're going to go. They may either go left or right, or clockwise or counterclockwise, or they may stay still, and then they're going to shoot at you. So they're constantly disappearing and reappearing. So you have to sort of time when you can hit the cloaked guys. And the Romulans were famous for their cloak ship being really powerful, and it does 2 points of damage when it hits you. So it does extra damage. It can potentially take out a whole shield or whole section in one shot. So they're really bad.
Wow.
We also put in some other classic bad guys. The Tholians are in there, and the way they work is if they make it to the short range, they lock you down. You can't move because you've been webbed up.
Okay.
So all that kind of good stuff is in there. Some missions have special tokens, like the Doomsday Machine is actually in here, the big giant death cigar from space thing. You're going to have to fight that, and it's actually a piece on the board that attacks you. Sometimes you'll need to go rescue a spaceship or go track down somebody who's attacking you. There's also the giant space amoeba from that one episode that almost destroyed the universe. And there's even a starbase that comes out, but that's helpful. The starbase sits there until you maneuver the Enterprise to go dock with it, and then you get resupplied with extra repair damages, extra cards, and that involves moving forward. So not only can you maneuver the Enterprise clockwise and counterclockwise, you can choose to move the ship forward. And the way we simulate that is anything in the front 2 arcs, let's say it looked like that. If I chose to go forward, comes 1 space closer.
That makes sense.
Nothing on the side or the back. We tried it. It was too complicated. It didn't work. And this simulates sort of these guys keeping up with you while you go forward.
Sure.
So you can actually maneuver the Enterprise through this sort of pseudo-space program. And that's how you bring the certain targets closer to the Enterprise. Because a lot of missions are like dock with a disabled ship, which means get it into short range.
Yeah,
so.
and it's not necessarily going to be able to move towards you, so you have to go towards it.
Bingo.
That makes sense, yeah.
You got it, yeah. And then, of course, it wouldn't be Star Trek if you didn't play with characters, or without characters, rather. So all the classic crew from the original series are here, and they all have a unique ability. Everybody breaks the rules in some way. Spock lets you draw 3 tokens, decide which 2 you want, put the other one back. Scott lets you repair, because that's what Scotty does. Like I said, Sulu gets to maneuver twice. They're all fun, and they all have sort of 2 layers to them. There's like, oh yeah, that's great. And then when you play it, you realize what you can do with it. Like one of my favorites, Uhura. She's a little underrated, but you basically get to draw 2 cards, look at them both, put one of them back either on the top of the deck or the bottom.
That's
so
awesome.
If you know you need to dig, put it at the bottom. If it's the perfect card for the next player, put it on top. So
That's great.
yeah.
So is this still playing, it's 1 to 6 players?
Yes, this is 1 to 6 players, and I think the playtime is pretty similar too. It moves remarkably quick. In fact, it can even be a little bit shorter if everything goes bad. So yeah, because you are trying to complete your 5 missions. Every time you succeed at one of these, you'll move the marker over there by the one that says completed missions. You'll put one of these down and go, boom, we've made one of our 5. You complete all 5, you've won the game as long as you're alive. Now you do have to clear the board. That's one thing that I like kind of in Castle Panic. Clearing the board is how you finish. In this one, After your 5th mission, you still have to destroy everything on the board in order to safely escape. So,
Are more threats coming?
once you've completed your 5th mission, nothing new comes up.
Okay.
But there's this horrible moment of, okay, we barely made it, now we have to kill everything before it kills us. Yeah. So, yeah, that's most of the game. I won't spoil everything, but there's a lot in here that you can see is different or based on or bent off of the Castle Panic idea.
I mean, just this mechanic right here,
Yeah.
it seems simple at first, but when you really think about it, it changes everything.
It does. It
And
really does.
That's huge. I mean, just like you did with Dead Panic, just having a physical piece on
Right.
the board to move is huge. So,
Yeah.
man, this looks really nice.
Yeah, we are really pleased with how it came out. It plays very quick. It's easy to pick up. It is tense. The Enterprise is going to get damaged and blown up and broken. And it's very thematic. If you are a Star Trek fan of the original series, you will get a lot of these jokes. You will appreciate a lot of the references. I had a blast making it. I'm honored to be part of the Star Trek lineage. It's a fantastic opportunity for us.
That's great. How many of those getting shot in the Enterprise clips are you going to see where it's like everyone playing the game all of a sudden? Moves to the
I
side?
really want to see that. Everybody doing the whole fall over thing.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
let's do
when
that
you guys
now.
take a hit, record it.
Yes.
Send it to the Fireside
Shake your
Games
camera.
Twitter.
Yeah. And please play the dramatic music too. We need that.
Yeah, got it. You gotta have
the
that.
fight music and all that. Yeah.
Oh, this is great. And this is in stores right now, right?
Yes,
So-
this came out about 2 weeks ago as of the time we're filming this. Yeah, so available now everywhere except it is just US and Canada. It is not an international release, but available all over the place right now. Go get it.
Yeah, so check with your friendly local game stores if they don't have it. I'm sure they could order it for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Justin, thank you so much, man. This has
Thank
been great
you.
to take a look at this. I'm
Awesome.
super excited to get in here and play it.
I know, right?
This ship's going to blow up in my hands at least 7 times. And I feel terrible. I feel
That's
like
all
I'm
right.
letting not only myself down and my group down, but the entire universe. This
I was gonna
is
say,
a lot of stakes here. with
I
this
know.
house.
The Federation is counting on you. I don't know. This is expensive shit.
Yeah.